Hey, Chris Manning here from the Locked On Cavs podcast, coming to you Monday, January 31st. After the Cavs perhaps just had the worst loss of their season, we're going to get into Cavs, Pistons, and more on today's show. And let's get into it right after we hit a little intro video here.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Before we get too deep into today's show, Evan and I want to thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen every single day. Remember, we are free and available on all platforms. That include YouTube, where we're zooming up in the subscribers. We're over 1,000 now. We're over 1,100 now, but let's say 1,500 barrels per weekend. I think that sounds doable. Do us a solid if you haven't already. Go hit subscribe on the Locked On Cavs YouTube channel. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go in the show notes. It's right there. Not too hard. A couple clicks and you're there. But Evan, like the Cavs, I am not on my A game right now based on how I've started the show with my word salad of the language here. But how are you, buddy? And are you are you ready to talk about this game?
I mean, yeah, it's going to be like a root canal. It's not going to be fun. Just like as a broad stroke, people were kind of debating this. Shouts to a few of the swords, Leah Nemeth. She, again, wrote an excellent piece for us not too long ago, but she said the loss to Utah was Cleveland's worst loss of the year, where they only lost by a point. I just disagree because Cleveland was competitive in that game. I think somebody else pointed out the recent loss to the Bulls. Again, Cleveland was competitive for the better part of that game. Like this was just like the most anti. You said it to me before we started recording. This is the most anti JV Bickerstaff game possible for the Cavs. This is just the most un-Cavs like they look this year. I think it's kind of a good thing. Here's my glass half full take. It's kind of a good thing it took us 50 games to get to this point, and I don't think we'll see it more often than not. And I'm really, really, really interested to see how they respond Monday night against New Orleans. But before we get into it, how are you?
Good. I'm curious. I need someone like a Bengals beat reporter, James Rapine. You know, if you're listening, buddy, I know you're booking your flights to LA to cover the Super Bowl, but can like someone find out if Joe Burrow is like shit posting
Available.
mad? Like he's celebrating, then he just like throws on the Cavs Pistons game as like his third cigar of the night, and it's like, what am I getting here? Joe Burrow, a king, shit posting about the Cavs, just a king. But
I think
Evan,
it's so funny that people are digging up all those tweets, man, because he really does get us. Like the Hito Turkaloo.
it's the one that's clearly known about them picking Sergei Karasev is it for me. Like that's it for me. And like the
Really?
one with that's
Like
there's
Fat
one with
Kevin Love, Untucked Kyrie, Headband Braun, Henny JR. I'm just like, yeah, this guy like really was in the weeds a little bit when it came to being a Cavs fan. Like he was probably like a Cavs Twitter weirdo when he was in high school.
I absolutely respect Joe Burrow for being that. Check out Locked On Bengals if you haven't already. But Evan, I think this is the worst loss of this Cavs season. I
Yeah,
don't think it's
we're on the
close.
same page there.
I think this is the worst team in the NBA. I think the
I think
Pistons
the
are
Magic are worse, but
I
the
think
Pistons are
I
pretty
don't
bad.
I didn't like watch this game and I think Cade was like really good in the second half. I liked Isaiah Stewart's energy in the second half. I
City
like
Day
Sadiq
was
Bey. I
phenomenal.
I like Sadiq Bey. I didn't come away from this game feeling like the Pistons were like good at anything other than like playing sort of hard and like
Yeah.
mingle and like staying engaged in this game. Like I didn't feel like they were particularly crisp. I didn't feel like they were particularly like good. They were just kind of like out muscling the Cavs. I mean, to quote what JB Bickerstaff said of the game, like they won the scrap. And a thing of this Cavs season that has allowed them, I think, to get where they are, is that they've played hard every night. They've played aggressive basketball every night. They have been just like a team that is like kind of just willing to wade through the muck to get to where it's going. And like this was one of the first times. And I think this has been bubbling up on the surface. Like JB Bickerstaff, I think, has kind of been hitting at this a little bit the last week or so. I think some of the players have kind of hinted at it. But like this was a game where I feel as if they just kind of got a little high on their own supply. Darius Garland himself post game. And Jared Allen said it as well. It was like, we thought this was going to be an easy win. We thought we were going to come to Detroit, get a win, and go home. And they got up 15-0 to start this game. And then it just kind of unraveled slowly from there. And like, I think this is a bad loss in that regard. It's a bad loss if you're trying to just like pick up easy wins and figure out playoff seeding and things like that. it's just one of those losses. I think you want to see what the effort level is like tomorrow. You want to see how they kind of respond from it, and you kind of got to hope that like if you're them, that this is more of just like a one-off bad night than like a sign of okay, this team is fading or having some kind of like has some things it has to figure out in terms of its attitude about stuff.
Yeah, and I am interested to see what team shows up tomorrow against the Pelicans because that also is a bad loss. Is when Rubio blew out his ACLs the last time they played New Orleans. That's another team that's trending upwards just because of talent. I don't think Brandon Ingram will play tomorrow, but like the Pelicans are going to be another tough outing, I think, for Cleveland. I think this is a bit of a gut check for them. I wonder what we're going to get from Darius Garland. I wonder what we'll get from JB Bickerstaff. I wonder what we'll get from Jared Allen. Like this Cavs team could either be completely locked in and like mollywop the Pelicans tomorrow, or they're going to fall flat on their face and just because they're hyping themselves up a little bit too much. I think Garland did say a lot of the right things too, that the Cavs just kind of have to move on from this one. He's going to let this loss stick with him personally, but they have to shift their focus to the Pelicans. So I think the Belichickian approach of we're on to Cincinnati is the kind of way to do this for the Cavs, but it's just a frustrating game because like they opened the game up really hot. I had it on my phone because I was watching the Bengals game just because happy for my dad because he's a like lifelong Bengals fan. He's been with them since they were founded. And I was just kind of watching the closing moments of that. Then I switch over to the game and then I'm like, oh, it's getting a little dicey in the first. And it's just kind of like a gradual decline. And then the fourth, you just really saw everything fall apart for Cleveland. Like their interior defense was non-existent. This is a team that prides themselves on their interior defense. It's tough. Like, I don't know. And that's all I can really say. Like, there's not really much to glean from this other than this is just a bad loss for the Cavs. Like, we could talk about execution and certain coaching details and stuff. I really want to talk about the Rondo stuff, but I'll save that ammunition for a full segment. But this is just a weird loss, and it's an 82 game season. You can't really get too bogged down on every single game or else you're going to be here forever. So you just kind of shift focus to New Orleans and see how they look tomorrow.
What Evan? What to you was like of the things that kind of went wrong? What to you was the thing that was the most like the effort? I think is one of those things you can
Well,
I
the
think look
effort
at.
thing.
Yeah, but is there anything like structural we saw that was a little dicey? Because I think for me it's you look at this game and you say, okay, this is another game where it's very clear this team needs someone else to create and someone else to do so with the ball in their hands. And it's like very clear that the Pistons game plan was, okay, we're going to load a little up on Darius Garland. If they swing it to Evan Mobley, we're going to make Evan Mobley make a really quick read off a triple team. Like we're going to make these guys make really quick, snappy decisions. And I think like we also saw at the end of this game, like if it's going to work, the what we're getting now and seeing now from Garland, Rondo, Okoro, Mobley, Allen is like a closing five is like not quite going to cut it. That was a -6 in the last like 4 something minutes. Like that lineup did not do, I think, what JB intended to do. And like, it's not going to be the Rondo replacement. Obviously we've said that a bunch, but like, that is not what I think they were looking for. And what I think if you're going to see that lineup be interesting, that is not, I think the outcome we're sort of like, as like observing and thinking about this team saying, oh, that was not like, there's something to that. That made me think, okay, maybe this is like, they're going to have it. Like, I kind of wonder a little bit now, and this is like maybe a little reactionary, but it's a little like, okay, like this is going to be, I think, a figuring out process of what is the actual closing five and this team kind of actually progressing in that way.
Yeah. Just the Rondo thing. I want to, again, like if we have any more
we'll put a pin in that.
We'll put a pin in it. I am curious why they didn't close the Dean Wade. Like Dean Wade was largely effective in this game. He only had 3 fouls in this one, but 14 points and 5 or 6 shooting, 4 rebounds. He was 4 or 5 from 3. Played some solid enough defense. I just think for me, what really fell apart and just became crystal clear is like the interior defense for Cleveland just flat out fell apart. And I think once Cade Cunningham kind of found his groove, like it just clicked for him right away. But like they played, I had this in my notes, like for like, I put 90% to be generous. So maybe like 80-85% of this game, the Cavs played really good defense on Cade Cunningham. Like they held him to 0 of 10 shooting to start the game. And then he finished the night 6 of 21 overall. So he obviously was a lot more efficient down the stretch, but he was only getting points at the free throw line. Yes, he was making damage and impacts in other ways, but like this was like Detroit's best player, and the Cavs were doing a great job containing him and kind of just keeping the Pistons at bay. And they stretched the lead a little bit, and then Gade found his groove, and I think Sadiq Bey just kind of followed suit, and it just really fell apart in the fourth quarter for them.
Yeah. All right. After the break, we are going to get into our awards. We'll give our MVP stat of the night, play of the night for Cavs Pistons, which again, I don't think I've said the score, but this was a 115-105 Cleveland Cavaliers loss in a game they were 8-point favorites. So sorry to anyone who lost on that. But first, going to tell everyone about our friends at Built Bar. Built Bar, Evan, is the best tasting protein bar on the market. You know this. Our listeners know this. I hope just everyone knows now that Built Bar is as good as it freaking gets as far as protein bar goes. You've had
So
those.
bro, they have a white chocolate cookie dough coming soon. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm not even a white chocolate guy, and I'm sure that'll be. But like, you've had those protein bars that are chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. They're like not fun or delicious to eat, and Built Bar is the opposite of that. Most of their bars have 17 grams of protein, 4 net carbs, 4 grams of net sugars, and just 130 calories. Stock up today. They have a ton of great flavors: coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream, salted caramel, and mint brownie. Evan's favorite is cookies and cream, for instance. So stock up on them today. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Again, use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Evan, MVP. I think there's only we have the same one. To just looking at our notes, it's Darius Garland, who was very good, particularly after the first quarter.
Dude, he was in his bag for the whole game.
Yeah, I want to just, instead of talking about how he played in this game, because I think the defensive stuff was bad late. I think he had like that really hot run in the second quarter and was hitting some wild step back threes and stuff, and then kind of faded as they kind of keyed in on him a little bit more. And he himself said his defense wasn't quite up to snuff. But I mean, I've been thinking about about all-star balloting, probably more than is like reasonably healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would put Garland over Allen at this point.
Yeah, I would too. If the Cavs only could have one representative, I picked Darius Garland.
Yeah, it is kind of absurd to me, like more and more like we watch them and think about this team post Rubio, is like how much he has to do on a night-to-night basis. Like it's kind of crazy.
He is their most important player. It really became clear when Kevin Pangos had to play minutes.
Could you imagine
serious minutes?
Well, could you imagine right now if it's like Ron, like I mean maybe this will happen
like Rondo and Goodwin closing lineups.
Oh, buddy, like there's just like so much that would go wrong.
That's the darkest timeline.
That's like I don't know how they like have a fun. Like the Cavs offense is already a little like I don't know about this. Sometimes it's a little not good. It's a little shaky, and then yeah.
Shift lanes. Do you think they miss Larry Markkinen a lot too? Because I think Dean Wade's played well, but I do wonder if having that 3-point threat helps a little bit. Like it could, someone as big as him.
Well, I think they miss. I think the 3-point thing probably evens out. I think where they miss Markkinen is probably the fact that like you would see him once or twice a game come off a screen and roll to the rim and try to get him like a basket that way because he's 7 feet tall.
Yeah, that's what I meant by the size. And like there's the shooting aspect, but like the size aspect.
Yeah, I think
like you said, once or twice a game he plays to his God-given ability.
Yeah, but there's also like some probably like trade-off and like okay, like we're not seeing post-ups for Markkinen anymore, like for Wade in the way you would for Markkinen, which are wasted possessions if you're the Cavs. I thought it's just really bad. I thought one of the interesting things in this game that we're not going to touch on was that I thought Mobley got the ball in his hands like in ways that was sort of interesting, and like he brought up the ball. He was like kind of
Mobley played really well in this game.
Yeah, he was very good, I think, for the most part. But I think you saw him get a little more offensive responsibility, and I want to see if this was just like a blip or like as we go forward. Again, this was like a feel thing for me on first watch. So tell me if I'm wrong or not. Tweet at me. Actually, don't tweet at me. Just shoot us an email at lockedoncavs@gmail.com. And then play of the night. What's your play?
My play of the night, just thought it was just fun because there wasn't a lot of fun in this game, especially towards the end. But 6:23 left in the third. A little high-low action. Jared Allen lobbed past Evan Mobley. Allen is at the top of the key. Mobley lobbed it to him. Also, could just give a shout-out to what is becoming a bread and butter play is just the Okoro cut along the baseline. Rondo read that perfectly, and that was a really good play. That was later in the third, but just that pick. What's yours?
Mine is it was probably the high of the Cavs game. It was 15-0 run. Darius Garland like pokes the ball forward off of like a loose ball, and then he ends up throwing a lob to Okoro on the other end for the Cavs to get 2 points to get up, be at 15-0 for Okoro to like thrive in transition. For them to just look like that in space and play that free was like the most free and kind of in control they looked all night. And it was a sign. It was like as clean as they looked the whole entire night. And then from there, it was like, well, things are going to get
Yeah,
bogged down.
they looked really comfortable to open the game, and then they got uncomfy.
It's like the first 15 minutes, you could tell that they felt like they knew they were better, and then it was like, okay, like we don't have to try.
They took their foot off the gas. Like
Guess
right
what?
at that
Guess
moment.
what? You have to try. And then Kid Cunningham in the second half was like really good.
I think Dwayne Casey called him one of the most clutch players in the league, and
I like Dwayne Casey, so no shit there.
I think Dwayne Casey's a good coach. I think he. We were talking about how we were talking on Sunday show, technically speaking, that the Pistons are still a couple pieces away. Like I don't think Chet Holmgren's really going to pull them all together, or whoever they take with their top pick. But like they have a lot of fun pieces, and I think Dwayne Casey's the right coach for them.
Yeah.
But well, what's your stat of the night? Because I have to find a new one because mine was the Cade stat until he kind of uncorked.
Mine is the fact that they were -6 in the last 450. That they just were kind of just outclassed at the end of this game, out-efforted, out whatever word you want to use, whatever adjective you want to use. I think the last 4 some minutes of this game when Rondo comes back in, I think really the last 9 minutes overall, but it felt winnable that last 4 still. You could bring Rondo in for Wade, and they were kind of listless after that. So I think them just getting outscored over that stretch is it for me. They looked lifeless over that last stretch of the game. I felt the offense looked. Okay, I
agree. I agree though, but it's like, the fact that Rondo was 0-2. I'll segue into this.
Okay,
you don't need Rajon Rondo taking shots in the closing moment of the game. You need him to initiate and set up the offense.
Yeah, the fact that their first 2 possessions with Rondo on the floor in the end of this game are a Rondo floater that he bricked and a Rondo pull-up 3 that he then bricked is just like really bad offense. And I understand they're denying Darius Garland on the ball. They are doing whatever they can to like put the ball kind of in Rondo's hands, but Rondo is both taking his time and like Rubio played with this kinetic energy and like was kind of moving constantly, right? Rondo
These are
was
the concerns we shared with Rajon Rondo coming to Cleveland.
Rondo is like
methodically.
He's to a detriment, pointing guys in spots and being like, hey, go here. And like it drags 5 seconds off the clock. It drags 6 seconds off the clock. And like
when the Cavs were a very like read and react offense, we're like, all right, Rubio's just gonna go here. Everyone just shift.
As good as Garland is and is worthy of all the praise he deserves this year, he is not the kind of player, and the Cavs do not have the kind of player that can like. I think playing offense that way is frankly silly. It's just making life harder on you. But the Cavs don't even have one of the guys in the league that I think like I would feel comfortable doing that stuff. Like LeBron is one of those guys. KD is one of those guys. Like Steph is one of those guys. Like Donovan Mitchell has a little bit more explosiveness to be one of those guys. Darius is going to add some of that
3
stuff.
of those guys. And Kyrie,
Kyrie Irving, like the ethos of their team is that. But like Darius kind of has some of that to some degree, but it's not like his primary, I think, success as an offensive player. The Cavs are like
21, so the needs time.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if you're gonna play like that now, it's worth, I think, us pointing out. So
yeah, I don't know, man. Do you wanna take one quick break real quick?
Well, you haven't given your stat. Give me your stat.
Oh, my stat. It was just the fact that Rajon Rondo went 0-2 in the fourth quarter, and just like watching him play and watching him take threes, like actually makes me visibly annoyed. When I watch him like take a 3 in a possession, I'm just like, there's such a better shot available, and the Cavs just are standing still and waiting for Rajon to do something. The offense comes to a screeching halt sometimes. Like there's times where I'm like, "Ooh, yeah, Rondo's got a little spice to that playmaking." Like when he had that, literally threw it with his left hand behind his head to like a cutting. I think it's either Mobley or Allen. I'm just like, okay, yeah, that had a little spice to it. That had a little flair to it. I like that. But then there's like, I don't know. Like I understand maybe he's a Hall of Fame caliber point guard, but giving him the absolute offensive freedom to kind of like, or maybe the expectation to him sop up what Ricky Rubio provided and what to an extent Colin Sexton provided is untenable. It's just
the offense.
I'm frustrated by it.
We should perhaps get someone who's very nerdy about basketball to come and talk to us about this. But I think the Cavs offense needs to evolve, and That's kind of I think where I'm at with it. All right, one more break. We'll be back to get into some kind of final notebook stuff from Cavs and Pistons. Evan, I wanna just get the last kind of real negative thing out of the way, and then I want to we'll finish on on a positive note to kind of put some sweetness amid the bitterness.
Well,
'Cause
real quick, Jimmy G just threw the game-losing interception.
oh
So
my
Ben
yeah,
Axelrod, you got yourself a Cleveland Browns quarterback.
I mean, look, I might still be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, statistically, yes, better in every
Okay,
shape or
I
form.
for this
But I'm
Locked
just
on Browns,
joking.
check that out. Blah 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 blah. Get Evan will get his tweets off. Blah 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 blah. Dylan Windler was awful in the stretch that he played in the third quarter. Awful.
Yeah, he was pretty bad.
Awful.
Like he had one play where I think Love either traveled or had an offensive foul, but like he cut and found Kevin Love in the paint, like just made the right read. I'm like, yeah, that was good. Everything else is pretty bad.
It's not like one of those things where it's like you want to completely just take this and okay, I never want to see you again. Although that JB Bickerstaff didn't take for you to be okay, I don't trust this guy again. But boy, this was
But
not.
who
He
else
did
did they
not look.
turn to at that time?
Yeah, he just it feels like the Cavs have their guys, and then the depth pieces are Lamar and Dean Wade, and then it feels like everything else is a little bit of I don't know.
It's in flux until they make a move, hopefully.
Would you would how do I phrase this? Dylan does Dylan still feel just like he is stuck in a nebulous zone of where he's at right now? Does he still just kind of feel stuck in between being comfortable and not to you? Because that's just how every time we see him play, I think that's where I'm at with it.
I mean, I think that's a pretty fair analysis because he's still trying to find his rhythm, I guess, because he doesn't get consistent minutes with his Cavs team. I just truly think in my heart of hearts, just send him down to the charge. Just let him play down there because he looks overwhelmed at times. There's times he looks sharp and locked in, like God, when he had that game so long, or it feels so long ago, where he looked absolutely locked in. We talked about it, like, yeah, this is the peak of Dylan Windler, and okay, hopefully he bounces, continues this, and it's positive momentum for him to sign and say, okay, he's finally right in the corner. He was a non-factor the following game, and that's just kind of the unfortunate story of Dylan Windler is, like you said, JB Bickerstaff has his set rotation of guys. If Rubio and Sexton were here, Windler wouldn't play at all, and then Stevens and Wade would kind of be the death pieces because they're guys who've just kind of they play with scrap and grit and other coaching terms that JB Bickerstaff likes. But Windler's just an uncertainty, and he has to find his comfort. The only way you can get that is to have him play. But he looks bad most of the time when he plays. So he just feels like a gray player. I don't know, he's not black or white, he's just gray.
Would you keep playing Dean Wade when Lowry's back?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Over Dylan Windler, at least, yes.
Yeah, I agree. Okay.
Lamar Stevens has carved out minutes in this rotation because he's played very well in the bigger minutes he's played. I think Dean Wade has not consistently shown up, but he's shown something. Hell, I'd even give Brandon Goodwin minutes over Dylan Windler at this point. See what you have there.
Yeah.
Because he was available tonight. He wasn't with the Charge. He was with the Cavs. So you could have seen what you had with him.
Yeah, he's the third string point guard, I think, over Kevin Pangos for being.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin Pangos wears the warm-ups, but I don't think he touches the floor unless it's garbage time.
Facts. Okay. Yeah, hit me.
So yeah, I wrote this in the notes. Rondo is an experience, and I might need one of Chris's cigarettes that he sometimes smokes when he is stressed.
It's been years, just to be clear, years.
Bro, you smoked in Vegas, I thought.
No.
You were just joking about smoking a cigarette on the Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
This is Manning's language arts class. If you're listening, Mr. Manning does not smoke at all, but I'm just covering your bases, bro. I don't want you to get yelled at by your wife. She just comes home from work on the hog, just slams the door.
This is.
But I understand in theory
I
what
feel
the
like
Cavs
the mayor.
are trying
I
to
feel
do
I feel like he'd
Rondo
be
and
mayor.
Owen.
Did you watch Mayor of Easttown?
No.
Okay, but you've seen the meme of Kate Winslet just like ripping like a vape the whole time on that show, like every like 5 seconds. You've seen the
Bro,
meme.
that's me whenever I'm stressed out. So
I'm saying that's like you watching Rondo. You're just like you're just Mare from the interviews now.
I don't get stressed. I just get annoyed, I guess. I don't get no, I like the idea of having Rajon Rondo on the floor for the Cavs. I think they need to figure out how to execute it a little better. I think part of it is having that hamstring injury, sidelining him for so long and losing valuable minutes. Like, yeah, they had 3 days off with 2 days of practice in between their win over Milwaukee in this game. But at the same time, it's also a little tricky because you can only do so much in practice. You need real game execution. And actually, we're like, it's a difference thing. I think it's part of that, but I also just think the Cavs right now, at least, are kind of saying like, okay, we're gonna ask Rajon to do a little bit of what Ricky Rubio did for us, and I don't think you can do that. Obviously, like that's a no shit kind of thing I'm saying right now, but you need to shift the focus a little bit. You can't just stick to what you know. You need, like Chris said, you need to adjust the offense a little bit, just kind of tinker things a little bit. Granted, if the Cavs, excuse me, make a move to go get like a scoring player who can provide secondary offense next to Garland, and maybe they get a more like younger and springier option as a backup point, you face Rondo a little bit more out of the rotation, and he's more of like your second string point guard, but not really, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But
well, and I wonder if then he becomes like the veteran like voice on the team to some degree in a way that like I think like Ed Davis obviously provides that, but I mean I Rubio's not like the
Rubio's
I
not
don't.
here. I'm pretty sure he's back in Spain rehabbing.
Yeah, but like, and if he's interacting with anyone, then we don't exactly like know the extent of it, and like we won't. So like, there's just like it's just that's kind of an unknown. Evan, the last thing I want to hit on is just I want to say I think Isaac Okoro hit a three with 9:01 to go that put the Cavs up. He had hit a couple wide open corner threes in this game that he missed. This wasn't like a particularly like good offensive Okoro game. Had some good defensive moments. Obviously, he remains just like a very very good defender.
Oh yeah.
The offense is obviously just going to be the thing with him. I think you're going to see more and more teams dare him to shoot and things. But 4-7 from the field, 9 points, 1 of 3 from three, 4 assists is like kind of like the template, I think, for a successful Okoro offensive game. But the three that he hit felt like kind of just like it had really nice arc on the shot, was clean. It just felt kind of like a stress relieving three for Okoro in a way that I just was like empathizing with him watching this, being like, yeah, this felt like a needed thing for Isaac to hit this shot in this moment.
Isaac Okoro hit a three. Chris Manning, an empath, noticed.
Look, man, I have a weird brain, and
No, you have a beautiful brain.
I have a weird, beautiful brain. I just like
I
at a
I
certain
I
point,
just
it's just like how many times do you think it must drive him nuts to be
oh
like
yeah.
every time that he is standing alone in the corner and then it's like he just misses these shots and it's just like that would drive me insane. And like I'm sure it drives him insane.
Yeah, I mean it would yes, it would drive me insane as well. But I think with Isaac Okoro, it's really easy to like fixate on his offensive deficiencies. We kind of knew this was going to happen coming out of Auburn. So again, his 3 point, like you said, it looked good when he took and made that 3 pointer tonight against the Pistons, and it's just kind of how it always is in Auburn. Like he has clean mechanics. It needs a little refining. And I think we're kind of seeing a little bit of the trajectory where like he's comfortable taking threes. He's not going to make all of them, but at least he's trying. And at least he's not absolutely gun shy like he was to start his rookie season where the Cavs were like begging him to take 3 pointers on the bench. And I think you need to look at his entire body of work. Like you said, offensively, this is the best you're going to get. Four assists is really great, and 9 points is solid contribution. Like he's Cleveland's best point of attack defender. So you're like asking him to go out there and play team defense. Like JB said, his rookie season, they just asked him to defend the team's best perimeter player as hard as he could, and that usually resulted in foul trouble. And in
Yes.
this game, he had 2 fouls, but like he plays more within team concepts. He's such a tricky defender. He's really good at shutting off players' waters on the fly. Like I really think about that defense he played against Shea Gilgeous-Alexander when they were in Oklahoma City a lot. Like that's just like my argument to say, like, yeah, Isaac Okoro was really fucking good in terms of defense. And I think the offense is just going to kind of be a work in progress because he is 21 years old. And again, this Cavs team's not winning the championship tomorrow. this is a long season. I think this is just going to be interesting to watch his development. But yeah, I think the 3 was good. It was a promising thing to see for sure. I think he's just getting more and more comfortable out there, and I think it's also just part of Cleveland's offensive dichotomy where like Garland obviously is the head of the snake, and then like Allen and Mobley are going to get like most of the buckets in this scenario. And then like Love's going to get easy looks on the perimeter, Market and Feast as well. And like Okoro obviously is like the 5th or 6th fiddle in Cleveland's offense right now, possibly even 7th if Jetty Osman's on.
Yeah. Evan, just as we look ahead to Monday, Cavs Pelicans at home. Cavs will play second night of a back to back. Is the I think the thing to watch is just going to be effort level and response from this game. Is that the thing to watch in your mind? Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on about that. I just how did the Cavs respond to this? Maybe just they could really fall flat on their face in this one, like I led at the top. Like either they come out strong, refined, and ready to go. Like it's tough, I think, to come off of like a really frustrating loss like this on a back to back and have to come back home and just gut check yourself and get back out there and win against the Pelicans.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, and a lot of our listeners kind of pointed out, and our colleagues have pointed out to me. This is last time they played New Orleans is probably one of the worst losses up to that point in the season. So I don't know, just interesting to see how they play it. Maybe with some tape of when they played New Orleans last time, they have a clearer idea of what they should and shouldn't be able to do. And again, maybe there's a little added motivation just to kind of say like, you know what, everything's fine. This loss against the Pistons was kind of an anomaly, and we're just going to keep moving forward because like this game against like the Pistons was like pretty clear, like the Cavs should have won this game. Like the game against the Pelicans is another game the Cavs should win. Like in my heart of hearts, like this is a game where like they just go out and take care of business and move on to their next game, which is Wednesday against Houston, which is another game they should win.
Yeah, and that game's also on the road and kind of a weird schedule as we're kind of looking at here. But that's gonna be it for this episode of Locked On Cavs. We'll be back on Tuesday to recap Cavs Pelicans from Monday night in Cleveland. Everyone, it's snow's coming in the West, so stay safe out there. If you want a great second listen today, look, our ad copy says Locked On Bets. You can check out Locked On Bets anytime. There's never been a better time for you to go check out Locked On Bengals or Locked On Rams. These two teams are going to the freaking Super Bowl.
Oh, did the Rams win?
The Rams did win. They're celebrating. They're giving out the trophy right now. I have it. I can't show it because we'll get our video taken down by YouTube for copyright. But
second year in a row, the host team's in the Super Bowl.
But 740, Joe Burrow, James Rapine, former 92-3 guy who's been history has led him right about his DeMar DeRozan opinions.
I think about that a lot, actually. I'm like, yeah, James is right.
James was like, get DeMar DeRozan, and we were like, everyone was around us was like, no, and he was right. But go check those pods out. They're really, really great.
Kuzma take your early DeMar DeRozan take? Are you trying to James repeat yourself?
I am right about Kyle Kuzma. That's a good NBA player. Until next time, everyone, be well. I'm Chris. That's Evan. Stay warm. Stay cozy. Be well.